The US economy is currently unstable, and there's a divide between economists and financial experts on which side the economy will eventually tilt. While some economists are hopeful, others predict doom. American businessman and economist Muhammed El Erian is one of the latest ones to join the dark side. Today we'll look at what's going on with the economy today, whether the economy is going into a recession or not, how soon will the economy go into recession, if it's going to at all, and how long will it stay in the recession. El Erian's new predictions of doom came as a surprise to many people, mostly because he mentioned that inflation had not peaked in 2021, even when energy prices had surged. Here in September 2022, however, El Erian changed his stance and said inflation in the US has already peaked. He also mentioned that the inflation won't be the only problem. GDP growth will also go down, likely leading to a recession. The US Labor Department recently released their latest consumer price inflation rate. In June, it was 9.1% higher than last year, the highest it had been since December 1981. But El Erian believes that the inflation has already peaked. In fact, he thinks inflation will go down soon, and many agree with him. Let's take a look at what Wharton Siegel has to say.
Housing data on prices shows well below expectations. I think on the ground, inflation has definitely peaked. Housing, for instance, I think housing prices are actually going down.
According to El Erian, inflation coming down is not the problem. The problem is that inflation will come down in growth, likely leading to a recession. And in his words, that's not good news. The world's economy is slowing down fast, and central banks are doubling down on quantitative tightening and increasing interest rates. El Erian notices that quantitative tightening by the central banks would not save the economy in the long term, and that it only adds to the many policy mistakes they have made. He also criticized how the Federal Reserve handled things, especially the new policies they rolled out. El Erian then advised the Fed to make a series of improvements to its analysis, forecasts, policy responses, and communication. If they don't, more policy mistakes will be made, plunging the economy further. El Erian's prediction for the inflation rate is a bit scary. Even though the Fed's official target rate for inflation at the end of the year is only 2%, he believes inflation will stick around for a while longer and end the year between 4.5 to 5.5%. El Erian's prediction seems more believable though, because looking back, the Fed has already hiked interest rates 4 times this year alone, trying to fight the surging consumer prices. But so far, nothing seems to be working. Inflation keeps plaguing the US economy. The consumer price index seemed better in July than June, which was a much-needed ray of hope for many people. But El Erian says that the headline inflation numbers coming down isn't what we should be focused on. In his opinion, we should be worried about the economic impact of sticky core inflation, and especially how the Fed will have to tighten its policies to fight it aggressively. Even the World Bank is predicting stagflation as the most likely economic outcome for the world economy. A recent global economic forecast indicated that things would be tough for many countries this year, and it'll be extremely difficult for a lot of them to avoid falling into a recession between summer 2022 and summer 2023. Many countries will have to face several years of above-average inflation and slow economic growth, which will be especially destabilizing for low to mid-level GDP economies. Stagflation we haven't seen since the 1970s. Many businesses will be affected. The lagging economy will likely lead to lower company profits and average or reduced earning forecasts. El Erian is also worried about the incoming stagflation, especially when it comes to stocks. He has advised stock market investors to sell some stock holdings in their portfolios and take some risk off the table. He mentioned that if he was fully invested in stocks right now, he would sell his stocks, stock up on cash, and wait for more value to be created. All signs point to a recession, and everyone is on the lookout. Many billionaires, hedge fund managers, and big investors are taking out their stocks all in fear of stagflation. Stagflation is an economic situation where inflation doesn't come down, and economic growth is extremely slow. While it's not a certainty, it's the most likely possibility, and you might want to consider it fully.